Welcome to DDI Central Tech Videos. Today, in this video, we explore why smart DDI thrives in software, not within an appliance. Traditional DDI appliances, whether physical or virtual, may look reliable, but they lock control inside fixed hardware or a locked operating system. As networks expand across data centers, cloud, and edge, that model begins to fall short, and they need a control layer that can move with them. That's where DDI Central comes in, a software-based DNS, DHCP, and IPAM platform built for secure, scalable networks. It acts as an orchestration layer, unifying what you already have, running wherever your infrastructure runs, and staying visible to every security and management system you rely on. Not confined to hardware, but designed for how modern networks actually operate. The 4 problems with legacy DDI platforms. First, vendor lock-in. Proprietary appliances tie you to a single vendor's ecosystem, limiting flexibility and negotiation leverage. Second, hardware end-of-life cycles. Every few years, you're forced into costly refreshes, regardless of actual service needs. Third, rising costs. Hardware, licensing, and support renewals stack up, increasing year after year with little competitive pressure. And finally, operational rigidity. Grid-based architectures introduce single points of failure and make upgrades complex and risky. Together, these aren't just limitations, they're signals that the traditional DDI model is breaking. With the appliance-based DDI deployments, there's a problem nobody names out loud. With appliance-led DDI, there's a critical gap: EDR coverage. Most closed systems, you can't install endpoint security agents like CrowdStrike, Symantec, or Kaspersky. This isn't just a limitation, it's an architectural constraint tied to a locked-down operating system. And the result is significant. Your DNS and DHCP infrastructure becomes a permanent SOC blind spot, with limited visibility, limited response capability, and weaker evidence for compliance. In a system that sits at the core of your network, that's a risk you can't afford to ignore. There is a better path, a parallel alternative. Software-defined DDI. Instead of locking your infrastructure inside appliances, it runs on standard platforms, Linux, or even containerized environments, so your security stack works exactly as it should. Endpoint protection tools like CrowdStrike, SentinelOne, or Microsoft Defender can be deployed natively. Every DDI node becomes a fully managed endpoint in your SOC. The result? Consistent telemetry, stronger policy enforcement, and audit-ready visibility by design. And when it comes to scale, you don't scale heavier. You scale smarter. No hardware bottlenecks, no fragile architectures, just resilient, fast-moving infrastructure built to grow with your network. Scaling traditional appliance-based DDI means staying tied to hardware. Need to onboard new locations, support 5G edge, or handle an IoT surge? You're pulled into the same cycle. Procure, ship, rack, and configure. More boxes. And it's never just an upgrade. It's a careful operation, firmware matching, role rotations, config validation, one node at a time. One misstep, and your control plane stalls. Worse, if a core appliance fails, remote sites go dark. No IP leases, no DNS resolution, no connectivity. A single point of failure, wrapped in expensive hardware. Software-defined DDI changes the model entirely. New DNS and DHCP services come online in minutes, through UI or APIs. No console cables, no CLI gymnastics. Configurations are discovered, unified, and managed centrally. Changes roll out cluster-wide, in seconds. And resilience is built in. Remote sites keep running, even if central services don't. Then there's security. Every appliance is an exception, every upgrade a rejustification. But with software-defined DDI, Every node is a standard endpoint. EDR on day one, no exceptions, no blind spots. As networks scale with IoT, 5G, and multi-cloud, the difference is clear. Appliances respond with procurement. Software responds with orchestration. Growth shouldn't mean more boxes. It should mean better control. With appliance-based DDI, the clock is always ticking. Year after year, you move from active support to extended costs and eventually forced hardware refresh. Software-defined DDI removes that cycle entirely. Continuous updates, no hardware dependency, no forced replacements. Deploy on what you already own, update without disruption, and scale without starting over. No end of life, no refresh treadmill, just continuous evolution. With legacy DDI, you're not just deploying infrastructure, you're committing to a vendor. Proprietary hardware, vendor-specific formats, limited flexibility, and costly migrations. Software-defined DDI changes that equation. Open standards, run it anywhere, VM, cloud, or bare metal. Integrate the tools you trust without constraints. No lock-in, no forced path. Just the freedom to build your network your way. With appliance-based DDI, costs don't stay flat, they compound. It starts with hardware, then licensing, then support, then refresh cycles, and finally, security compliance overhead. A domino effect that keeps pushing total cost higher. But today, procurement expects something different. Predictable, flat-rate pricing, not surprise refresh cycles every few years. Because real efficiency isn't built on hardware timelines, it's built on control. This is where the difference becomes measurable. 1. No vendor lock-in, built on open standards, with full control across platforms. 2. No hardware end of life, zero forced refresh, continuous software-driven evolution. And 3. Cost efficiency, 40 to 60% lower total cost of ownership with predictable pricing. Open, resilient, cost-effective. That's the DDI Central advantage. This is where the impact becomes tangible. Over 5 years, appliance-based DDI continues to accumulate cost, hardware, licensing, support, and forced refresh cycles. Software-defined DDI breaks that pattern. Up to 40 to 60% reduction in total cost of ownership, lower hardware capex, simplified flat-rate licensing, no forced refresh cycles, and reduced operational overhead through centralized control. Less spend, more predictability, and a model that scales without the cost burden. At a glance, both models deliver DNS, DHCP, and IPAM, but how they fit into your security and operations is fundamentally different. Appliance-based DDI operates as a controlled, vendor-managed environment, often outside standard endpoint security, with limited host-level visibility and SOC insights dependent on integrations. Software-based DDI changes that. Each node behaves like a standard managed endpoint, aligned with your existing security frameworks, compatible with host-level protections like EDR, and fully visible within your SOC workflows. More visibility, more control, and no blind spots in your infrastructure. Because your control layer should never sit outside your security model. When it comes to security, the real question isn't who provides it, it's who controls it. In appliance-led DDI, patching follows the vendor's timeline. Visibility is limited between versions, and even OS hardening stays locked behind the platform. Software-based DDI brings that control back to you. Patches align with your existing OS and application cycles. Security baselines follow your standards, not vendor constraints. Clear separation between platform and service, greater hardening flexibility, and familiar operational patterns, from snapshots to versioned rollbacks. Because true security isn't outsourced, it's orchestrated, on your terms. At scale, security isn't just about controls, it's about governance. With appliance-led DDI, trust is centralized. You inherit the vendor's entire stack, their OS, their patch cycles, their mitigation timelines, which means your risk posture follows theirs. Software-based DDI distributes that control back to you. You define patch SLAs. You enforce consistent EDR policies. You integrate directly with your vulnerability scanners and act faster with your own mitigation workflows. Standardized evidence, consistent enforcement, faster response. Because strong security isn't inherited, it's governed by you. Modern networks aren't built inside boxes anymore. They span clouds, edges, data centers, everywhere your business operates. And yet, many DDI solutions still confine you to hardware cycles, vendor dependencies, and infrastructure decisions you didn't choose. Every new deployment becomes a box, every upgrade a replacement, every change a constraint. But your control layer was never meant to be boxed in. It should move with your infrastructure, adapt to your architecture, and scale without friction. Don't let your DDI get boxed in. Break free with software-defined control. What if your infrastructure didn't need to change for your DDI to evolve? Your servers stay where they belong, in your data center, your cloud, your environment. Your configurations remain yours, fully owned, fully controlled. DDI Central doesn't replace your infrastructure, it unifies it. It discovers and brings all your DNS, DHCP, and IPAM services together under one intelligent control plane. One view, one system of control, across every server, every location. With the automation, visibility, and intelligence to manage everything seamlessly. You own the infrastructure. DDI Central brings it all together. True scalability doesn't live in boxes. It lives in the control plane. Hardware appliances may look powerful in a rack, but modern networks don't operate there anymore. They operate across distributed environments, where control, not hardware, defines scale. DDI Central is built for that reality. A purely software-defined DDI platform that orchestrates your DNS, DHCP, and IPAM across every site, without displacing your infrastructure. Deploy it on servers you own. Run it across your cloud or virtualization stack. Keep your configurations exactly where they belong, because you own the infrastructure, and DDI Central brings the intelligence, automation, and visibility to unify it. Not boxed systems, but a control plane built to scale with you. This is the DDI Central advantage. With a software-defined control layer at the core of your network, you move beyond managing infrastructure to orchestrating it. With DDI Central, you gain full visibility across every corner of your network. Complete control over updates, changes, and deployments. True scalability, built to meet real-time demand across environments. Fair, transparent pricing without hidden hardware cycles. And real-world resilience, keeping your network continuously available. Because when your control plane is software-defined, your network becomes simpler, stronger, and ready to scale. Before you choose a DDI platform, ask better questions. Can your EDR agent run directly on the system, or is it a blind spot by design? Does your DDI appear as a managed endpoint, or just another network device with limited visibility? When a critical vulnerability hits, do you patch on your schedule or wait for the vendor's release cycle? And how many compliance exceptions are you filing just to keep it running? Because these answers reveal something deeper. Who controls your security, your operations, and your cost model? Can you scale without buying more hardware? Can you deploy anywhere without involving extra purchases? Are your costs predictable or tied to refresh cycles? 7 questions, 1 outcome. Choose the DDI model that answers to you. This brings us to the end of our video. In this video, we saw how a software-based solution, DDI Central, helps you evolve from a boxed-in DDI infrastructure to a flexible control plane that truly scales with you. With DDI Central, you're not replacing your network, you're taking control of it. Managing DNS, DHCP, and IPAM through DDI Central offers you the complete flexibility, visibility, and ownership modern networks demand. A smarter way to scale, without constraints, without compromises. If this perspective resonates with you, stay connected with us. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more from ManageEngine DDI Central.